Chernobyl nuclear disaster. In the early hours of April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Pripyat, Ukraine, exploded during a late-night safety test. The blast tore through the structure, exposing the reactor core and releasing radioactive material equivalent to 400 times the radiation of the Hiroshima bomb. 2 plant workers died instantly, and dozens of firefighters and engineers were fatally irradiated in the following weeks. The Soviet government initially withheld information, delaying evacuation for more than 36 hours, during which time the population continued daily life unaware of the invisible contamination spreading through the air. In total, the disaster led to the long-term evacuation of over 100,000 residents and has been linked to thousands of cases of thyroid cancer and other radiation-induced illnesses. The 30-kilometer exclusion zone remains uninhabitable to this day. Technical analysis attributed the explosion to a flawed reactor design combined with operator error. The RBMK reactor type lacked a containment structure, and the rapid power surge during the test created conditions that engineers could not control. Chernobyl's legacy transformed global nuclear policy, emphasizing transparency, international cooperation, and stricter reactor design standards. Tianjin port explosions. On August 12, 2015, a series of massive explosions erupted at a hazardous materials warehouse in the port city of Tianjin, China. The blasts originated from improperly stored chemicals, including ammonium nitrate and sodium cyanide, located dangerously close to residential areas. The first explosion registered the force of 3 tons of TNT. 30 seconds later, a second, far larger detonation equivalent to 21 tons of TNT shattered glass across several kilometers and ignited hundreds of cars in nearby lots. Official figures confirmed 173 fatalities, including 104 firefighters and 11 police officers. Over 700 people were injured. The scale of destruction flattened entire industrial blocks, leaving a crater nearly 100 meters wide. Subsequent investigations uncovered systemic safety violations, illegal storage of hazardous materials, falsified documentation, and failure to adhere to distance regulations from populated areas. Several company executives and local officials were later prosecuted for corruption and negligence. The Tianjin explosions highlighted the growing risks of rapid industrial expansion without adequate safety oversight, particularly in regions where urban and industrial zones intersect. Texas City disaster. On April 16, 1947, the port of Texas City, USA, became the site of one of the most devastating industrial accidents in American history. The French vessel SS Grand Camp was docked and loading a cargo of ammonium nitrate fertilizer when a fire broke out in the ship's hold. At 9:12 a.m., the ammonium nitrate detonated, unleashing an explosion so powerful it registered on seismographs as far away as Denver. The blast leveled the port, destroyed nearby refineries, and ignited other ships. A subsequent explosion from a second vessel, High Flyer, compounded the devastation. Nearly 600 people were killed, including most of the city's volunteer firefighters, and more than 5,000 were injured. Property damage was estimated at nearly $1 billion in modern value. The disaster led to the first class action lawsuit against the U.S. government under the Federal Tort Claims Act and prompted major reforms in chemical handling and maritime safety standards. Fukushima Daiichi nuclear accident. On March 11, 2011, a magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck off Japan's northeastern coast, triggering a massive tsunami. The waves overwhelmed sea defenses and flooded the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, disabling its power supply and cooling systems. Without cooling, 3 reactors overheated, leading to partial meltdowns and hydrogen explosions that released radioactive material into the atmosphere. Although early evacuation efforts limited direct casualties, over 150,000 residents were forced to leave their homes, many permanently. In the following years, radiation fears, displacement, and cleanup efforts placed immense strain on communities. The cleanup operation, projected to last decades, remains one of the most complex engineering and environmental undertakings ever attempted. Independent inquiries determined that while the tsunami was the immediate cause, the underlying failures stemmed from inadequate preparation and overconfidence in safety systems. Fukushima reignited international debate over the future of nuclear energy, safety planning, and disaster resilience in densely populated nations. Bhopal Gas Tragedy. On the night of December 2, 1984, in the city of Bhopal, India, the Union Carbide pesticide plant released approximately 40 tons of methyl isocyanate gas into the atmosphere. Within hours, the gas spread through densely populated neighborhoods surrounding the facility, causing widespread panic and confusion. Immediate effects were catastrophic. Thousands of residents awoke coughing and choking as the poisonous vapor seared their lungs and eyes. By dawn, hospitals were overwhelmed. The official death toll eventually exceeded 3,700, but later estimates suggest that more than 15,000 people may have perished as a direct or indirect result of the exposure. Investigations revealed that multiple layers of safety systems were either malfunctioning or had been intentionally deactivated to cut operational costs. The refrigeration unit meant to keep the chemical stable had been shut down, and the flare tower, designed to burn off escaping gas, was inoperable. The aftermath extended far beyond the initial explosion of deaths. Groundwater contamination persisted for decades, affecting generations. The Bhopal disaster remains one of the clearest examples of how corporate negligence and inadequate regulation can converge into mass human suffering. Rana. Plaza collapse. On April 24, 2013, in Dhaka, Bangladesh, the 8-story Rana Plaza building, housing several garment factories, collapsed during morning rush hours. Cracks in the structure had been reported the previous day, but factory managers ordered workers to return to meet production deadlines. The collapse buried more than 3,000 people under tons of concrete and debris. Rescue efforts continued for weeks, with 1,134 confirmed deaths and over 2,500 injuries. Investigations revealed that the building had been constructed with substandard materials and unauthorized additional floors. The tragedy exposed the harsh realities of global supply chains and the unsafe conditions underpinning much of the low-cost garment industry. International outrage followed, leading to safety accords and oversight agreements involving global clothing brands, labor organizations, and governments. Seveso dioxin release. On July 10, 1976, in the small Italian town of Seveso, a chemical plant operated by Daiichi released a dense cloud of toxic dioxin due to a runaway reaction in a production vessel. The cloud drifted over nearby communities, contaminating soil and vegetation. Although there were no immediate deaths, the long-term health effects were severe. More than 700 residents were evacuated, thousands of animals died or were culled, and widespread cases of chlorachin, a skin disease caused by dioxin exposure, were reported. The Seveso disaster prompted the European community to implement the Seveso Directive, establishing stringent regulations for industrial sites handling dangerous substances.